All right, so here we are with a chart we need to fill out using the unit circle. And I want to ask you guys to have that salmon color piece of paper out to make it easy for you to refer to. I will have the unit circle down here for me to refer to. So the first thing is I got to fill out all of these values, but hopefully it goes by quick because I'm just using my unit circle. And it says 0 degrees, I want that in radians, so that's 0. 30 degrees, well, that's pi over 6. 45 is pi over 4. 60 is pi over 3. 90 is pi over 2. 180 is pi. 270 is 3 pi over 2. And 360 is 2 pi. So you could have, of course, converted all these degrees to radians, our old way. But all of those radians exist on your unit circle. So I just looked at my unit circle. So sine of 0, well, we're here. So let me bring this up a little bit more for you. So that's where we are, 1, 0. Well, then my sine value I know is 0. I know my cosine is 1. Tangent of theta, remember that definition is y over x, so that would just be 0. Cosecant of theta is the reciprocal of sine. So if I'm going to take the reciprocal of 0, I can understand that this is above 1. Every number is above 1. I get 1 over 0. But I can't do that. So this is, let me go ahead and just get rid of this so I have more room. Undefined. Oh, excuse me. Sometimes it's hard to write. Okay, hold on. Undefined. Because I can't divide by 0. Secant of 1, well, the reciprocal of 1 is just 1. And then cotangent of theta, well, that's the reciprocal for tangent, so I can't divide by 0, so this guy is undefined as well. Okay, now I'm looking at the 30 degrees. So now I'm looking here. Well, sine of 30 degrees, no matter what, is 1/2. Cosine is root 3 over 2. Well, tangent, remember, is your y over your x. Now it gets a little messy here, so I'm going to go to the side. Remember, I have to divide, if I divide by fractions, I have to multiply by the reciprocal. And what do you know? Your 2's reduce out. I get 1 over root 3, but I can't have that, so I rationalize it and I get root 3 over 3. Just a side note, I get 1 over root 3. I can't divide by a radical, so I have to multiply by the radical, and I get root 3. Well, root 3 times root 3 is just 3. All right, now I'm going to do the reciprocals. Cosecant of theta, the reciprocal of 1/2 is 2. Secant of theta, well, the reciprocal for cosine is 2 over root 3. Yikes, can't have that. Hopefully you're getting better with rationalizing, so I get 2 root 3 over 3. And then cotangent of theta, well, I could do this reciprocal. There's nothing wrong with it. But I think taking this reciprocal would make my life way easier. And so 1 over root 3, well, that reciprocal would be root 3 over 1, so life is good. So what I would like you guys to do is fill out the rest of this chart on your own. So I'll check this in class as part of your notes. And as you're filling it out and you don't know how to do it, please shoot me an email or come to office hours. Now, I'm going to do some evaluations. of things that are not just you're looking at the unit circle. I mean, some of them will be, but. So this one, cosine of 7 pi. When I look at my unit circle, it just goes to 2 pi, correct? But this is really cool. This is where we talk about coterminal angles. If I go around this circle another time, I'm at 4 pi. Do you agree? If you go around a third time, you're at 6 pi. So I could go around this thing numerous times, but what I'm finding out is that 0, 2 pi, 4 pi, 6 pi, 8 pi, 10 pi, they're going to give me the same values because they're coterminal angles. So I went around this circle once, twice, I'm at 4 pi, and then I'm at 6 pi, and then to get to 7 pi, I stop right here. So we are at this coordinate, and I want to find cosine. So cosine of 7 pi is equal to -1. Again, because they're coterminal angles, they're going to have the same initial starting point and they end at the same point. They have the shared terminal side. So cosine of 135 degrees, well, this one's nice because it's just right there. So now I'm going to get rid of all this so you can actually see. Cosine of 135 degrees is right here. Well, let's see, 135 degrees. That's going to be -√2 over 2. Okay, now this one, tangent of 45 degrees is right here. Well, what does tangent give us? So I'm going to just do a side note. Well, that would be my y over my x. Well, that's the same thing divided by the same thing, so I get 1. So I'm going to write out the problem that was given to me. So I get tangent is 45 degrees is 1 times, that's what's understood to be here because there's no operation in between. Cosine of 30 degrees is √3 over 2. So this guy produces √3 over 2. Now, if you want to check, because I'm not allowed to use my calculator on these, but if you want to check and you used your calculator and you did tangent of 45 degrees times cosine of 30 degrees, it would turn out to be √3 over 2. It's pretty cool. Now here it gets a little more challenging. Secant of pi, because now I don't remember, when I look at this unit circle, I'm only given cosine of theta and sine of theta. But, secant is the reciprocal for cosine. So when I look at pi, I'm here. What is your cosine value of pi? Well, that's -1. I want the reciprocal. So I'm going to just write out the whole problem again. The reciprocal of -1 is -1. Then I minus. And then now I'm going to look at pi over 2. Cosecant is the reciprocal for sine. Well, my sine here is 1. Take that reciprocal. Well, the reciprocal of 1 is 1. So -1 minus 1, this value gives me -2. Now, this just wants to make sure you can use your calculator. So just, again, make sure you're in the right mode. So for this first one, I want to be in degree. So I'm going to do cosine of 14 degrees. So I get cosine of 14 degrees. It tells me, whoops, let me show I'm rounding to 2 decimal places. So it's going to be 0.97. So let's see if we make sense of that. Look here, here's 30 degrees. My cosine is √3 over 2, which is about Root 3 divided by 2, 0.86. Oh, yep. If you're at 14 degrees, you're pretty darn close to this 0, right? Well, wouldn't you have a bigger x value because you're getting closer and closer to the radius? So it makes sense that this would be 0.97 because this one is about 0.87. Now this, how you read this 1 does not have a degree symbol. Hold on, hopefully I didn't lose you guys. Does not have a degree symbol, so I understand it to be radians. So I'm going to change my mode to be radian, and then I'm going to do tangent of 1. So remember, 1 radian is pretty darn close to 60 degrees. And I end up getting, it says 2 decimal places, so 1.56. Key thing, pay attention to units and change your mode accordingly.